So, what does the future hold for us? All of us. Well, if I could answer that question, I probably wouldn't need to be here because I'd have a different job. But although we don't know what the future holds, we can see the trajectory of the current state of current affairs. So, with the war, we are experiencing rising costs. That's affecting fuel prices, insurance, wages, presenting a challenging time for all of us. We have government policy changes to reconcile competition, and of course, something you're going to hear a lot from us about today, technological change and how we can harness that. So, the question really for us is how we respond to those challenges positively. And what Laura and I will talk to you a little bit about is just the key pitfalls and issues that we see on the battlefield across a range of clients and how that might help you prepare for them. Because what can we learn from the past in order to help shape our future? I love that little picture because I thought, this is my life. This is our conference. Things don't always go exactly as you plan or exactly as you would like. So something you'll hear from lots of our presenters about today is the balance between harnessing technology and continuing to use our humans in order to progress, advance, manage our businesses. What we know is that machines can process data, they can optimize systems, but as yet at least, they cannot replicate judgment, they cannot build trust, and they do not show humanity. And why is that important to us? Well, what it means for us is that despite the use of AI and other technologies in our business, we must continue to have proper oversight of our systems. You would not take at face value the advice of an inexperienced and relatively new colleague, and nor should you take at face value the information which is, although data-driven, potentially unreliable. It still falls to us as business leaders to ensure that any data, any information which is given to us by the machines is checked and verified and actually reflects the information that you want it to say. What else can we do? We can continue to improve. How do we know where to focus our resource? How do we know what those improvements should be? Where do we start? The issue, if you don't try to improve and you're not trying to push the boulder up the hill, is that you don't stay where you are, of course. You just start drifting back again. A good place to start is always to ask your customers, to ask your employees, not where they think you could improve, but where they think you're doing things well, where they would like to see things done differently. That information can feed into a raft of improvements that you can put in. Some of them are small. It might be a case of removing a single person, improving a single system. And something like that can actually turn a corner in the entire business. Training. So a lot of you here are trainers. All of us here have participated in training, just arriving here today. So people in the business are our greatest challenge, but they are also our best asset. So you are the most valuable asset you will ever possess. More valuable than your home, more valuable than your car. You are going to design, develop, improve, and generate income potentially and hopefully for a very long time to come. So how do you improve the value of your asset? Investment. What should that investment be? Well, the best way to grow your asset is, yes, experience, common sense, but also training. And for those of you who don't particularly enjoy participating in training, it doesn't have to be these big all-dayers where you're a day out of work. A weekly bulletin, a monthly toolbox talk, Get it to focus on the areas of your business that you would like to see improvement. We saw a press release from the Traffic Commissioner last week about absent transport managers. It's a really easy way to just distill that into a bulletin, dispense it across the business to all the solicitors and staff. And in your business, you can replicate that because people are thirsty for knowledge. Not everybody, but most people want training. They want development. So it brings about a cultural change in your business, which is positive, better for the individual, better for you. So this always gets a few eye rolls when I say risk management. So in any business, if you want to future-proof, you need to know what the risks are. So you're not going to eliminate risk. If you think about the man who crosses the road to get to work every day, he's not going to stop doing that to get to work. What you're trying to do is minimize. You're trying to find ways of lowering the exposure of the business. And the reason that's important is because if you can lower the risk, you can lower your insurance, you can improve employee welfare, and it brings huge benefits across the business. There are 3 key risks in any business, mine, yours, and so they're the things that generally we focus on. The first is our people, the second is our customers, and the third is technology. So if we have a risk profile or a matrix, this should be a live document in your organisation that you're changing, you're adding to as your risk profile changes. And that's something that everyone, particularly the senior leaders, should be involved in. If I'm looking at my people, what am I going to do if my managing director leaves? What is the process? How am I going to lower the risk? What am I going to do if my biggest customer walks out the door? How are we going to fill that gap? How are we going to survive? There should be a process, a procedure that comes into play in the event that that happens. Or there are other things that we can do to lower the risk further. And finally, of course, technology. So one of the biggest risks that all of us face today, despite the size of our businesses, is cyber risk, cyber attack. I mean, just in the last week, every time I log onto my laptop, I don't know about you, I've got a 4 or 5 minute update. And that's because they are constantly trying to patch the risks that we are now exposed to. What are you going to do in the event of exposure and cyber risk? Have you considered insurance? All of these things should be on your risk register to get people talking about it, to get people thinking about it, and then to bring about change, which is going to be positive in your organisation.